Hi everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Dirty Waters podcast. Before we get into the episode, I wanted to drop a quick note that we had an issue with the recording software, so the audio quality in this episode is not what we were hoping for, but we had so much fun recording this episode that we still wanted to release it, so hopefully the audio is not too distracting and you can still enjoy the episode. And if not, we did record a whole entire bonus episode, which is now up as episode 2, part 2, where we did fix the audio issues. So, as always, thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy.
Riyaz!
Napali.
Here we are again.
In Dirty Waters. How do we always find ourselves here?
In Dirty Waters, let me tell you, I've experienced a lot of dirty water recently. We've had flooding in the basement, which is ironic because I was thinking of using the basement as a podcast studio.
Yeah, I mean, I was mentioning this beforehand, but I feel like that was a calling, like Dirty Waters in the basement. Like, I know you don't want to have a podcast with rain boots on.
No.
And it wouldn't be aesthetically pleasing, but it would be very thematically correct.
No, and I don't think that, like, the wires or the mix or, like, anything like that would enjoy that setup.
And also, I feel like it would be a half-assed dirty water, right? Like, it would just be basement water, clear.
Yeah, it's actually not that dirty.
Yeah.
It's, like, probably leaking from the furnace or something.
Yeah, we want brown, sloshy water with some solid particulates.
When you say we want, like, do we want?
I mean, it's definitely a want and not a need. I don't think it goes into need territory.
I wouldn't even use the word we in that sentence, but.
So I'm riding solo on this.
Yeah.
My own ship, like Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Your tortilla ship.
My tortilla ship. If we have a suggestion, right? I don't know if do you have the scoop tortillas?
Yeah.
Put that in a bowl of water and by the end of the episode, see if it is sunk or not.
Who said that?
One of our dedicated viewers. One of our cherished 3.
Okay, the really sad news is that I literally had a whole bag of that and we finished it yesterday, so we actually can't do that.
Okay, for a future episode.
Yeah, a future episode we'll do it.
I mean, that can be part of I think it seems like if it follows the trajectory of the first episode, that we're slowly adding in more segments and more educational segments at that. So that could be part of our science, will it blend, will it float segment.
Yeah. No, I think that's really important for our brand and our mission of educating people.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're slowly going to be, unfortunately, moving away from comedy, which has been, the core of the first episode.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to move into educational content.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have a calling in life. If you can't escape it, like you might be as funny as you and I are, but if what is in your heart is to teach other people and make them smarter, then you just can't ignore that.
Yeah, Sal Khan from Khan Academy walked so we could run.
I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah,
I couldn't. So speaking of futures of podcasts,
yes.
Where do you envision this podcast going? Like, what are your hopes and dreams for this podcast?
Hopes and dreams, of course, is, we monopolize the podcast scene and other big podcasts start to copy us. Or we form a meta, we're meta breakers.
Right.
And
we buy out like Twitter or X.
Yes. I mean, I think we compete with them when they're on our own, dirty waters. Like set sails and dirty waters.
Oh my God, yeah.
So, I don't know, I think there's a lot. My hopes and dreams is definitely it takes off and cannibalizes our careers.
Yeah.
Right? And in reality, I guess for me, it's kind of Schrodinger's podcast. Like, it exists in a superposition of, in the future, it's like it could thrive, or we could be on season 4, episode 82, and we've lost one of our viewers,
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm kind of fine with that. This is just fun for me,
I know.
Just to put stuff out there and be expressively, just create.
Yeah.
Because I think it's when you're not in a creative mood, but you have something habitually creative, and you actually show up. It's kind of fun. It's like watering your own gardens with dirty waters, nutrient-rich dirty waters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you never know what kind of minerals are going to be in that nasty ass swamp water.
Yeah, exactly. It could be full of beautiful, faucet.
Yeah, and the toxicity of the water may actually have compounds in it that could create new species.
Yeah, a little diatomaceous earth, little soils, just really good stuff. stuff that promotes strong, hardy growth. Deep roots.
Deep Roots. That would have been a good name for a
Deep
podcast.
Roots.
That'll be our educational podcast.
Yeah, that could be our sister
just look
podcast.
over- yeah.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
That'll be in the summertime, and we can just go gallivanting in the gardens. That'll be our Deep Roots.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you have your sights set high for this podcast, because I would say I do too. Like, it's totally fun, but I fully expect to get famous from this. Like,
I like that was your take. I'm like, yeah, it's a superposition where we make no progress, or it's just you're like, yeah, I just love that you have high hopes. Like, it's completely disregarded half of what I said because you're so optimistic for the future of Dirty Waters.
no, I think I'm conflating this conversation that we're having right now with the conversation we had before we started recording as well.
Yeah.
In which you had way higher hopes than what you communicated right now.
Well, it was more like I don't have expectation is what I was, I guess, really saying.
Oh,
My
okay.
expectation is that it could go anywhere.
But you have hopes and optimism, though.
Yeah,
Which I feel like those are interconnected with expectations.
Yeah. I think, as long as you're making quality content,
Yeah.
which we're moving towards, and you roll the die, like every time you roll the die, you just open yourself up for opportunity, right?
Right.
It doesn't have to be perfect, and even if
Yeah.
it is perfect, you still need to roll the die, right? I think the closer you are to perfection means the higher chance you hit when you roll, but it's still a gamble at the end of the day when it comes to media.
I'm not gonna lie, like, sometimes you, like, say these long sentences and I disappear.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not here anymore.
I'm sorry. Like you apparate.
But I think, like, I get the vibes of what you're saying.
Yeah.
And the vibes that I'm putting out there is that I think, like, there's no other option besides us getting this podcast just taking off entirely.
Mm-hmm.
I always have expected that I was going to get famous from something.
You think so?
Yeah, like, you know how people always say, like, you watch documentaries of people who are famous, they're like, yeah, I never really expected this to take off. I just did it because that was in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I never knew that, like Stephanie Meyer, when she talks about Twilight, like, I never knew that, like, this would reach this many people. I was just writing what I needed to write.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, like, she's, like, a billionaire or whatever. She might not be a billionaire, but I never believed those people. And I have always been like, I start off, I do something, and I'm like, oh, this has the potential to be super successful, so it's always in my mind. Like, do I actually believe that it will? I don't know, but I know that it's a possibility. Like, I'm not gonna sit in an interview one day and be like, yeah, I never thought that people would actually listen to our podcast. Like, no, of course people are gonna listen to our podcast. We're fucking hilarious. Like, that's where I'm coming from in this scenario.
Was, like, Stephanie Meyer, for example, one of those believers that they would make it to be famous, or they were just like someone that put their content out there and whatever happened happens? Like, they were detached
I've
from
never seen an
expectation?
interview with someone who's successful who said that they anticipated their success.
Really?
Like, I think they all have, some thread of self-confidence about them. That's why they were successful. They put themselves out there.
Yeah.
But they're always like, yeah, I was totally blown away that this many people would want this. Like, I've just never seen someone be like, yeah, I knew this was a good idea, and I put it out there, and I knew that people would probably really like it, and now I'm famous.
Do you think it's them just being, like, humble?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I feel, just to be, like, more relatable in a sense, not have, like, the ego, I guess.
Probably. I mean, I'm sure, like, their agents or PR managers or whatever encourage them to be relatable.
Yeah.
But I'm here to say that if we do take off and I'm sitting in an interview one day, I'm gonna fully be like, I was really hoping that I would get famous. Like, that's what I wanted out of this.
Yeah.
Do you think it's narcissistic to listen to your own podcast?
For quality control reasons, or just as, like, your daily, you wake up to your alarm clock is like episode 2.
I guess the latter.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a little bit, but I feel like it's in the business, like it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, to a degree, I was thinking about this in the car, because I think this is one of your talking points you mentioned, and, like, I feel like it is. No, it's like kind of, when people go, is a hot dog a sandwich, right? It's like, where do we draw the line, right?
Wait, what?
So, if people are like, what's a sandwich, right? It's a hot dog a sandwich, right? Because it's like two breads and a meat in the center, and it's like, it kind of counts. So, like, for me, where I'm drawing to that, what you were saying was the narcissist thing. It was like, yes, it is kind of narcissistic, but then if you take it further, like, is a therapist narcissistic? Because they're like, well, of course people want to listen to me. I have the best advice. I'm trained in X, Y, Z. So for us, it's like, yes, we have this level of, we're saying things, we're helping people traverse through dirty waters.
Yeah.
But we don't have the best credentials to get advice out, but it's fun and entertaining, hopefully.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like,
Yeah.
I think that I feel like just making a podcast is narcissistic. Because
Yeah.
you're like thinking that people want to listen to you talk.
Yeah, I think most things creatively are kind of narcissistic.
Right, that's
It's
true.
like,
I never thought of that.
Why, like, who wants to listen to your song? Drake? Right? It's like, you're like, oh wow, you banged some pots and pans and got a little 808 going. That's so cool. Good for you. It's like, it's kind of like that, but it's also like, wow, that sounds pretty cool,
Yeah.
Or someone giving a lot of credentials, giving advice. It's like, who asked? But it's also like, that's really good advice for understanding someone with ADHD, right?
Right.
So I think there's just this underlying theme of being a little bit narcissistic. Because when I would stream before, like, it was a big thing in my head where it's like, this is cringy. Like, being vulnerable is even cringy at times, right? I'm not saying it's a bad thing to be vulnerable, but it's just being that open, being that, these are my problems, woe is me, which is valid. But it's like, if you look at that through a malicious lens, yeah, you can say it's narcissistic, it's cringy, it's whatever. But I think that just comes with the territory of being creative, being open, and putting yourself out there. It depends on perspective, I guess, to me. Because there's different levels. It's not like there's a gradient, like, on how narcissistic you are.
Right.
If you're just like, okay, Rhea, stop talking. Do you know how much this costs? This beautiful fleece. It's like that would be way more narcissistic than just having a back and forth.
Yeah. Well, because when we did our like pre-season episodes and I was listening to those to edit them, like, I was actively enjoying listening to us talk. Which, like, part of it I feel like is the fact that we're doing a podcast together. So obviously I enjoy talking to you, and that's why we have a podcast.
Yeah.
But then to listen to it back, I enjoy listening to what you have to say again. And sometimes I even listen to what I said and I completely forgot I said that. And I was like, wow, that's a great point, Napali. Like,
Score for Napali.
Exactly. Yeah. But I listened to it initially under the guise of like quality assurance to do editing and things like that.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I find myself like listening to it on a plane on the way back from Pittsburgh, being like, this is my entertainment for this ride. I'm going to listen to our podcast just for entertainment purposes.
Yeah. For one question, do you hate the sound of your voice?
No. I think I have a really nice voice. People tell me that all the time.
Nice.
I think you have a nice voice too.
Thank you.
Which is why I was like, let's share this with the world.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking like, okay, because I think it's like if you remove the bias, if you remove the self from when you're listening to your own podcast, I think that's good. If you're enjoying it genuinely and not because you have a vested interest, I think that's like, then it's good content. Or at least, I think you should always produce content that you yourself would enjoy because you're going to know that market the best,
That's
right?
true.
Like, if you make music, don't just try a random genre. I mean, you definitely explore music creatively, but make music you'd want to listen to, right? That you vibe out to. You see artists in the booth making their songs, like they're jamming out. That's their song. That's what they enjoy. That's what they know. So it's the same thing. Whereas if you're listening to your own podcast, even if it's for quality control or it's because the best entertainment out there, right? If you're enjoying it, I think it's a good thing. That's not something to be like ashamed of or something, or to wear like
that's true.
It's like, if you're enjoying it, then isn't that already one happy listener?
Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. So I think where I'm landing on this is, yes, it might be narcissistic by the definition of the word. In like a self-obsession, like, out of all the podcasts out there, I'm going to choose my own to listen to.
Yeah.
But, like you said, like, we are kind of doing, despite my very high expectations for how this will turn out and your optimism on where this could turn out, but we are just doing this to entertain ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a level of when you do anything in life, you should probably be doing it just for the satisfaction, for your own self-satisfaction, instead of other people's. And so by that vein, like, yeah, I should enjoy listening to this back. And
Yeah.
in some ways, it's almost like recollecting a memory too, because we're together. It's kind of like vlogging. Like, I love vlogging. People probably think that's narcissistic. Like, I'm just recording what I'm doing all day, but I don't make it to like put it out there for random people to watch. Like, I don't even think that any of my vlogs are public. I think it's just for me to look back and be like, okay, in September 4th of 2016, what was I doing that day?
I mean, it can serve a dual purpose as well, you know. Like when I would stream, I would make highlight videos of clips that I would make, or other people, or clips that other people would make.
Yeah.
And like, it's fun. To me, it's like decent content, but it's also, I get to go back and live through all those highlights, those moments that I thought were worthy, or other people thought were worthy. And that's like, if nothing comes of it, I still have those, and I can go back down through memory lane, you know, at you know, the Harris's bachelor party, right, the weekend. We did that a little bit. Like, we went through, we watched some of like old clips or whatever. We watched, you know, old disc golf rounds from like Harris or some of his friends, you know, and that was like, it was just fun. It's like, yeah, it's out there, it's public, it's just there. It's like, is that narcissistic to go back and go, oh yeah, look at this shot I took? You know, it's like, maybe, but it's awesome, it's fun, everyone enjoyed it, you know. So if we're narcissists, no, we are no more narcissistic than Fergie or any therapist out there. So
I think putting Fergie and therapist in the same camp in itself is a pretty crazy move.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. If you take it to the extreme and it still holds, then it's solid. Those are deep roots.
Yeah, I love it. And I think the bottom line is that if you should be able to enjoy what you're doing in your life.
Yeah.
And look back on it and like reflect on it and enjoy it. If you're working on a creative project, then you should be able to put your hand, like dig your hands back into it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And if that's listening to your own podcast, I'm like,
it's healthy long term, I feel like, in terms of the creation. Because at least for me, I think you burn out when you start making things you don't love, or it's like it's just in the pursuit of success.
Yeah.
This is gonna get way more views, and then you start disliking the content, but it's just formulaic, and then you lose touch with your own creative goals, and then you know, and then you don't feel fulfilled anymore, even if you attain that success, in my experience. So yeah, I mean, I think because we're traversing dirty waters, that we need to have some content that viewers can engage with in real time, to look forward to and help, you know, where we can unpack some of the difficulties in life around the world. And so at work, you know, there's in the bottom left, I have Windows 11, unfortunately, and it opens up all the news segments. And sometimes there's some incredible headlines, and I know there's a lot going on in the world, so I thought maybe I could, you know, let's talk about some of the harrowing news that has been occurring, and you could give some insights.
oh God, okay.
Yeah, so one of them, some Gen Zers are suffering from menu anxiety and are afraid of ordering their own food at restaurants. And so for me, I don't go out too much. It's pretty much just to your house or to work and back.
Okay.
I feel like you frequent restaurants.
Yeah.
Now, you know, you have that refined taste. So I don't know, do you have any advice for people that don't know how to order food, that they freeze on the spot?
Yeah, okay. So I have a lot of clarifying questions. First of all, is this menu anxiety in terms of sitting down at a nice restaurant with like a proper menu, or like when you get up to Chipotle or Subway? Because I think that the stakes are a lot higher at like a Chipotle Subway situation.
I'm gonna say when sitting down and you have a menu and there's that, you know, because there's that expectation, that creeping doom of the waiter coming back, right? I feel like with Chipotle, you kind of already know the menu, but when it's like you're sitting down, it's like, I would like the linguine, but please no olive oil.
The thing is, like, you get so much time by yourself to look at a menu in a sit-down restaurant. Like, if we're talking about the Chipotle situation, I'm going to use Subway because I don't go to Subway that often. I don't like Chipotle either.
Let's speak from a place we have no experience in.
Yeah, but
I don't go there, so let me use this.
You said that Chipotle and Subway don't cause you anxiety because you're familiar with the menu.
Yes.
And I'm saying that that's true for you, but for people with menu anxiety, it's probably because they're not familiar, so they don't know what they want.
How about this? Because I think this is a pretty broad net we're casting. So maybe you could give advice for both.
Okay.
Fast cash And then also,
Well,
they sit down.
That's what I was about to do.
Okay. Oh.
In a like Chipotle or Subway environment, if you don't know the menu, it is very overwhelming because they're gonna ask you a lot of questions and you're not gonna necessarily know the answer. Like that's what I can understand would be stressful about that. And like I used to actually get stressed out about this because like when you go to Subway, first of all, the Chipotle menu is laid out kind of nicely and you can like see things where you kind of know what they're gonna ask or you can infer. The Subway menu is chaotic. There's so many things that aren't on that menu.
And I think with Subway, the items you're choosing from are so many rows deep. Chipotle, it's like one or two.
Right.
It's like, oh my god. It's like.
And they kind of go out of order. Like one time, the lady didn't ask me if I wanted any like toppings on, like the cucumbers and stuff like that. And so she got to the end and she started wrapping up my. I thought she was gonna ask me after it came out of the oven, and she started wrapping it up, and there was nothing on it.
Stop
and
the count.
Fortunately, I'm the type of person, at least at that point in time, like by that point, I was the type of person that would be like, hello, cucumbers. Ma'am.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't
cucumbers, ma'am.
I wasn't mean about it. I was just like, oh, like, can I add some toppings on before you wrap it up? And she was like, oh, okay. Like she was kind of surprised, and I was like,
yeah.
Okay, like you're supposed to ask me at some point. So I can see why like that would be anxiety provoking. Most people probably wouldn't say anything. It would make them uncomfortable. I don't know about advice. So there's actually a lot of really good articles online. Like people on Reddit have like posted like step-by-steps for things like this. Yeah, to like tell you what questions they're gonna ask, what to do in certain situations.
It's like a job interview.
Oh my god.
It's a food interview.
Yes. Because like at the end of the day, you want what you want. Like I think the worst thing in the world is when you're like looking forward to eating something and you open it up and it's not what you ordered or what you were expecting. And I would never wish that for anybody.
I remember that happened to me once where I ordered extra rice in a Chipotle burrito bowl. And I'm like, yeah, I'm so hyped to get this. And I got it, I went home, I opened it up, no rice. There's just no rice. And so I go back and I'm like, hey, sorry, but yeah, I had an issue with my order. And I'm like, what happened? I was like, I ordered extra rice. I'm like, well, what did you get? I'm like, no rice. She's like, what? I was like, it's the complete opposite.
Was she like apologetic or was she just like, you're crazy?
Kind of dumbfounded. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll just make it again. Because I'm like, you can just put rice on here, but it's also cold burrito soup, literally at this point. But yeah, they just remade it. But it is the worst. It doesn't get worse than that.
Yeah. So my advice would be, if you can, take someone with you or go with somebody who is familiar with the restaurant and the options. Preferably someone who is more aggressive than you and will like stand up for you if someone tries to trample you or whatever.
Okay.
And I think just like take your time with ordering.
Yeah.
Like I try really hard not to match people's like urgency.
Okay.
If someone comes at me and they're like talking to me really like intense, like some people are just like they're going a million miles an hour, and sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. Like sometimes people give off like that like I woke up with a lot of energy and some people give off like a I don't have time for you energy.
Yeah, like sometimes when Chipotle is giving the TSA vibes, and it's like, please, I just want some nutrition. That's all.
Yes. Exactly. I do not match that energy. I try really hard to never be rude to people because I know like it's totally unfair.
Yeah.
They're who knows what kind of day they're having. But I am not if you're speaking at me really fast, I'm actually gonna slow myself down to try to slow you down.
Okay.
Because I don't wanna try to match your rushing and then miss an ingredient or something or like order the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And then ruin my whole day. Like, I'm gonna keep things moving, order what I want to order, but like, I'm not gonna rush myself.
Okay.
So, I feel like just remember that you don't have to match other people's energy. As long, like, I think it's important to make sure you're not being rude to anybody, but like, you can go in there and take your time. Like, tell them you need a second to look or ask what the options are. Like, it's okay, and they would rather you order what you want, then come back and tell them that they did it wrong and have to redo it.
Yeah. And also, as someone who's easily persuaded, even into accidentally tipping 30%, right? I think you also need to remember you're paying for a service, so you should get what you want.
Yes.
Where it's like if someone's just like, yeah, you just don't want something, and they start putting it on. You're like, that's fine. Yeah, let's just go with it. You know, like don't go with the flow. Get what you want.
That's hilarious.
And then if someone's at a sit-down restaurant, they know what they want. They're anxious. The waiter could arrive at any moment. You know, it's like when you get a FedEx package, and it's like, well, the package will be dropping off between 8 a.m. and 11 p.m., right? It's like it could happen at any time, I'm afraid. What do you do for that?
I guess I don't really understand the anxiety part of it.
Because you're not think as a Gen Zer would think.
But I look up every menu in advance. So if this is what they mean, I don't get anxiety in the sense of like, I can understand anxiety when you're ordering something that's going to be really fast paced and you need to like order all your ingredients right, make sure you say things correctly. Or I also hate like with the Chipotle scenario, like if you don't know what something is, they kind of expect you to know what everything is. So I feel like that's another thing you have to be very assertive if you don't know what something is. Like if they ask like what kind of salsa do you want, you're like, this is my first time here. Like I don't know. They're all 3 different red salsas. Like I can't.
Yeah, I think that Starbucks has that as well, where it's like I would like a coffee. It's like, would you like a venti, an Ariana Grande, or espresso? It's like, what? Just make me a coffee, please. Just enough ounces.
Or they say like, what kind of milk?
Yeah.
And you're like, how am I supposed to know what liquids you have behind that counter?
Yeah, because I feel like we're pretty well versed in the bucks. I know it's like if you're like 40 plus, I feel like it's a lot tougher to like catch on. We're just I just want a coffee.
Right.
Just give me a nice coffee, a nice latte, and they're asking you all these.
But also like I just feel like the internet is such a resource in all these scenarios.
Yeah. I've done so much like research in Starbucks to make a nice like complicated drink.
Yeah.
Not too complicated, but just to order it the right way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not inconveniencing that's much, that's...
Wait, so did you research to figure out what drink you wanted?
No, how to order what I wanted.
Oh.
Because like they go a top to bottom thing on the cup. And so I'm like, which comes first? What's the order of operations?
So you already knew and you were just trying to make it easier on them, or you...
Yes, because it's like also like, imagine if they're going top, bottom, up, down, like this weird. So then I'm just like, now they're going to get it wrong because I'm giving them a jumbled flow of information.
There was a little bit of like selfishness here, wanting your order right, and a little bit of generosity and wanting to make their lives easier.
Yeah, because I think we spoke about it last episode where it's like our orders always end up wrong.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we not have that occur?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's some good advice.
Yeah, well, to go back to the restaurant example, I just think look up the menu in advance. Like very few, I think 1 out of maybe every 100 restaurants I've been to has not had the menu online.
Yeah.
And just go, because my thing is I get indecisive. Or I'm just not vibing with anything on the menu. Okay. And then it's like that feeling of like, God, I just don't want to have anything. Yeah. So what do you order? So I always look it up in advance. And I go in knowing. And then I'm that person who's like, they hand us the menu, and then I'm like looking around like, guys, are you ready to order yet?
Ooh, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Like pretend like I scan the menu as if I'm just really like, I know what I want. Mm-hmm. But I actually spent like hours looking at the menu in advance.
Hours? Super nice. No hyperbole, just an actual, it's a real scholar.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's complex, especially if people are deciding between multiple restaurants and you have to go through multiple menus.
It's also, because food is such an incredible pleasure where it's like, you want to maximize that because it usually doesn't miss unless you really get something horrible, it's like...
Oh no, I would say that like, I have a gut feeling about food on menus. Yeah. Like I just know, even if it sounds good, sometimes I can't put my finger on what it is about something that seems like I'm not going to like it. I just have this gut feeling. And any time that I've tried to go around that and be like adventurous, I've always hated it. I was like, I should have trusted my gut. Yeah. I knew, like sometimes I'll be like nachos with cheese and it'll be like with a shredded cheddar, whatever. And like in my head, I'm just like, I don't think that this is what I want. And if I go for it, then it'll be like, oh, the cheese is like a little bitter or like too crusty on top or something. Just, there'll be something about it. And I'm like, I should have trusted that little voice in my heart that said, this is not what you want.
Yeah. That's powerful. It's really just a culinary intuition.
Yeah,
and
because
cosmic
getting
sources.
bad food will ruin your day.
Absolutely. And then you're up on calories. It's not filling because you didn't eat too much. It's
Yeah.
unhealtty.
And then you're getting hangry on the way
Yes.
home because you're.
And then you gotta cook. Coming back from a restaurant and cooking.
I'm definitely not cooking so
Oh.
I'm hangry the rest of the night.
Yeah. It just carries over into tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it
no.
ruins my next day because I didn't eat properly and I'm not sleeping properly.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of stakes. So I can understand why there's menu anxiety actually.
Yeah. You just gotta forge that confidence. I think it's trial by error. You gotta like build up some resilience too.
Yeah.
You gotta mess up.
Yeah.
I've messed up a few times ordering. It happens. Move on. And
Yeah.
just, you'll get stronger.
Right. Yeah, I think I really stand by like if you can find someone who can be aggressive for you.
Yeah. An emotional support order.
Right, because I'm happy to like tell someone like, oh, you
Yeah.
didn't. I don't like to tell waiters that they did the food wrong after they brought it because I am convinced that they will spit in your food if you send it back. I am not a send the food back type of person.
Yeah. I'm also, because that's just like food waste as well, where it's like, if you missed something, like, hey, could this be added or something?
Right.
It's like,
Right.
but if it's like, yes, I ordered some soft runny eggs and it's just a little too firm for my desire. And it's like,
Yeah.
just select.
They're gonna talk shit about you in the back,
Yeah.
and they're not doing that
Mhm.
well the second time around.
Yeah.
So wow, so they took the time to make a headline about that.
Yeah, it was just in the show to Gen Zer, just really in a state of anxiety, I think. I don't know. She didn't look too happy.
That was the picture.
Yeah. I didn't read it past the headline.
Right.
Because I was at work.
Yeah.
I'm a diligent good boy.
Yeah.
So,
Fair.
yeah.
What other headlines do they have?
I only had one because I only really started looking at this. But this is a really big one. So any viewers, make sure you're sitting down. So Prince Harry was hacked by a UK tabloid. Right? And he didn't know what was happening. I think he's taking him to court. But yeah, so I just think, first off, this is something that could only happen in the UK. Because over here in the States, our journalisms and our news networks, we operate on a strong base of truth and honesty. So I think, for any of our UK viewers, right, do you have any advice on how not to get hacked? Or any cool passwords you can use?
I'm so confused right
Why? About what?
So wait, so this article is about Prince Harry getting hacked.
Yeah, so Prince Harry got hacked. It's devastating.
He got hacked by the tabloids?
By a UK tabloid. Yes, I did not.
What got hacked? Which account?
His phone got hacked by a UK tabloid. I think they're trying to get some insider scoops.
Like in the movies where they do like a mirroring thing so they can like see everything you're texting, or like they like stole his phone and then they're just guessing passcodes left and right.
I don't know exactly. Like I said, it was just a headline, but I saw this and I'm like, what a devastating attack on UK royalty. And so I think, no one wants to get hacked, and this is a place where we can offer advice, traverse dirty water. So I don't know, do you have any ways to avoid getting hacked or tips for making a strong password? Unguessable.
Yeah, don't use the same password on everything.
Okay.
I know so many people who do that.
Really?
Don't do
So you know a lot of people's passwords. Oh, do you
No.
work for the UK tabloid? You just self-reported. I'm so confused. Prince Harry?
No, I sometimes donate my time to helping people solve their
Okay.
problems.
Dirty water, yes.
And sometimes passwords are involved with some of that work, and I noticed that they use the same passwords for everything.
I am guilty of that.
Don't say that.
No, I'm not guilty of that.
I'm taking that.
Gotcha. You're gonna get locked out of a computer trying the same password. Yeah. So do you have any advice for me? It's really.
Should I take that up for
No, absolutely not. You know what? I have deep roots. You can attack my image, my passwords, my people, but I will stand strong, steadfast.
I'm terrified of getting hacked.
Yeah, that would suck.
It's actually, I was just talking to someone yesterday about it. Like,
Thanks for watching Season 2, Episode 2 of Dirty Waters Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Dirty Waters Podcast or YouTube at Dirty Waters Podcast, or Spotify.
Does Spotify have handles?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Just find us on Spotify, Dirty Waters Podcast.